Hello and welcome. We are back with you again this week, and we are tackling interview. And this is a really common question, and it's the how do you answer that tell me about yourself interview question?
Let's back up and
Yes.
let me just give you a little insight. The reason that question is asked,
Yes, why?
is because 90% of the time, the interviewer has not really looked at your resume at all.
Yes.
Often this is what happens. And this is with all due respect to recruiters and hiring managers who have so many people to interview
yes.
that they can't possibly review their resumes in time. And even if they do, they're going to forget. So it's kind of like, you're going to walk in my office because I've been the hiring manager and I'm kind of looking this over. And I'll just say, Kelly, I had a chance to glance at your resume, but why don't you just tell me a little bit about yourself? That's really so I don't have to really admit that I haven't read your resume.
Yeah, it's a way for that person who's interviewing you to get a little grounded themselves, because this is a bit of an awkward exchange at first.
For sure.
So you knowing that you might be getting asked that question right out of the gate, and them asking that question because they're trying to get themselves centered for who this person is that's sitting in front of me. Let's meet in the middle. So how do we answer that question for our audience?
So I like to break it down. You should be telling me what you do.
Yep.
Where and for whom you do it, and how you do it. And if it's somewhat of a mission-based organization, maybe the why you do it, but it's really answering those basic questions. And really what we recommend is that you write it all down first. So basically your answer to that question should be whatever your elevator pitch is, whatever you use to describe yourself when you're networking, which should be a slightly more conversational version of your LinkedIn profile, which should be written in first person, telling people what you do, where you do it, for whom, how, and maybe why. And then at the very foundation is the profile statement in your resume, which says those same things, but much more succinctly and a little bit more choppy. It's not quite as conversational.
Yeah. And, I think to your point, writing it down is a step that oftentimes people miss, especially when it comes to this, because you want to nail this question. You want to be able to talk really, really clearly about who you are
and not too
what
long.
You bring to the table.
Like here's a big mistake. Someone says, tell me about yourself. Well, I was born on August 16th. I mean, if you're starting there, that's not good.
Please don't start at your birth.
So sometimes people do ask us how long. I would say, a minute, maybe a little bit over a minute, not 3 minutes, 2 minutes if you're a really great storyteller. But it should be short. And you're a teacher. I mean, from foundationally, isn't there some type of like kinesthetic thing where if you write it first, you remember it?
No, well, it's a part of the writing process. So good communication is you use all of the modalities. So writing is a part of that process. So writing it, speaking it, revising it, speaking it again. It's all a part of that writing process that's going to get you to that refined place where you can nail this answer in an interview. So let's just break that down again into the steps.
So what do you do?
Yes. What do you do?
So for example, let's use us,
Okay,
I'll use me.
Yes,
so
fine.
I am an executive coach that really focuses on people in work-life transition. Most of my clients and students are women, but I also work with people just entering grad school. I have a CEO who just sold his company. Any major transition point in employment is where I'm helping people.
Yeah.
So that's the what do I do. It's also the who do I do it for. I kind of combine them.
Yeah.
Where do I do it? So I do some work in my home office, but most of my work is done remotely. I have clients all over the world now, and that's been one of the great advantages of having a tool like Zoom to meet with people. And then, maybe, the how do I do it? Okay. So I take a really qualitative approach. I do a lot of listening. I do some assessments. I really want to have a deep understanding of the person before I start helping them direct either to choose a career path or to choose a particular company. So it's an iterative process. There's a lot of writing back and forth. It's a reflective process. And it's time consuming. When I'm working with people, I'm usually with them a good 8 to 10 sessions, which in the sessions are about an hour. So that's the how do I do it. And then the why. And I might go into that. I do this because I started out in big tech. And I realized that after 10 years, there wasn't really a place for me as someone who was starting a family. So then I was home with my children, and then I started another company, consulting with companies, helping them set up policies so they wouldn't lose people like me, and also working with candidates like Kelly, who was on a maternity leave and then on a career break and trying to figure out how to get back. And then everything kind of came together when I met my now partner, Kelly Veskubiak, and we put this company together. And this is my role is as that executive coach. But really, this is a gift back to that woman who was 31 having a baby and figuring out, how am I going to do both?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So there you have it. How to answer that tell me about yourself question.
And you've just learned a lot more about me than you wanted. But sometimes the best way to do it is to give an example. So the what, the where and for whom, the how, and sometimes the why. And remember this also, the question isn't always just tell me about yourself. It could just be, what brought you here today?
Yes.
Or what's your story?
It can come in different forms.
Yeah.
But really taking the time to write it out, to answer those very specific questions that we have laid out for you here, and refine it, speak it, practice it with someone else. It's going to just set you up for success when you get that question on your next interview. So there you have it. If you liked what you heard today, you can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have new content that comes out every Monday. If you want to learn more about us and our programs and our offerings, you can visit us at www.preparetolaunchu.com.